Coming to you live from deep within a mushy and slushy and muddy a radioactive wasteland. We are the survivors of the outright apocalypse. The few, the brave, the bitchy. Once more waiting. No, I missed something. The survivors of the outright apocalypse. The few, the brave, the bitchy. Once more wading into battle. Did I miss something? No, I didn't miss anything.
No, I think you just didn't say the few, the brave, and the bitchy last time.
Oh, okay. The few, the brave, and the bitchy, once more wading into battle against the lobster, froggies, zombie...
Hordes
of the things with Rantzerker 166.
Yep.
Do women really have it harder? And Jubilee has decided to ask anti-feminist versus feminist men if women have it harder than men.
So we're gonna have men come and mansplain to us.
Yes.
Whether or not
women have it harder.
Women have it harder.
I think you really have to define the metric before you can really say harder.
Okay. It's like I'm getting true Puka vibes here. I'm getting flashbacks.
Oh boy.
Yeah, from when he had his grandparents all said when they went off to World War II to fight in the war that the women they left at home had it way worse because the women had to worry.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no, it was, I was just like, really? And the men just had to what? Fight or die? Or both?
Okay, here's the thing. So the worrying is worse than the thing you're worrying about?
Yes. Apparently so.
And not even, you're not even worrying for yourself experiencing it for someone else.
Yeah, you're worried about somebody else experiencing it. You're not worried about it yourself because you're safe at home in America, because that's where he lives. And your husband's off in Iwo Jima or some shit.
Yeah, that's well, but like I said, you have to really define the metric of what time and place. By the way, Karen, you're sort of crackling. I think you're rubbing against something.
Oh, for God's sake!
Yes, stop rubbing against whatever it is you're rubbing against.
All right, I'll get off the dryer.
You're just rubbing against all those nice, clean, smelling clothes.
I was having a nice ride on the washing machine while it was in the spin cycle.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so before we get into it, we should do the business. We are doing our monthly fundraiser. We have 1 day left, folks, so please help us out. Make sure that we can finish it off. I think we have about $1,900 left to round it out. So please do go and put a few shekels in the hat if you've got it. I will be doing some arm twisting in about half an hour. I have no time left to avoid the arm twisting. So if you don't go to feedthebadger.com/support and start supporting, there will be some arm twisting shortly. And also, if you want to send us a message that you want us to read on air, please go to feedthebadger.com/justthetip and put in a tip and your message. And you will give us the full benefit of your monies, and you will get the full benefit of avoiding YouTube censorship. And that's not because we're going to be you're going to say anything awful, but just because YouTube censorship is a confusing and
ever-shifting
landscape.
Shape-shifting
a very
thing.
Fickle mistress.
A very fickle mistress. They're so fickle, you never even see her except as a glimpse in the corner of your eye.
Yeah, or a shadow passing you in the hallway, telling you to go fuck yourself. That's known as hallway sex.
Makes perfect sense to me.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, Brian, do the honors. Start us up.
Yeah.
With
so
whatever time code. Tell us about it. What is this thing?
Let me tell you a little bit about it. So
we?
this is Jubilee. I think you guys saw it in the thumbnail as well as the description, and they have this series of videos called Verses, essentially, where they bring two sides of a issue together, and they ask them questions, and then The people who agree with the questions step forward, they take a step forward, and the ones that don't, they stay back, and then they bring the people, who step forward to come sit on these chairs, and they discuss like why they believe what they believe, and then they eventually let the people who disagree come, and they have a discussion about the topic. So in this episode, they've done like...
Okay, but wait, where are we watching this?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna share it with you right now.
Through Discord.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm gonna share it through Discord because it's probably the best thing.
Yeah,
so just join my...
We're not doing this via slot transference.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
Just
join my thing, and then you'll be able to see.
Live. There we go. Watch stream.
So, anyway, they've done feminists in the past, having these kind of talks, but they were usually, it was either, feminists versus anti-feminists, or feminists versus religious conservatives, or whatever.
They had Sydney Watson and Just
that's right. That's kind of, I think that's this, because they're, Vice, I think they do the same thing, and I can't really, there's no real difference between the two, but anyway, so this is the first time men get to say something, okay? And then there was the one with what's his name? So there was one other time, I think. No, that was feminist women against non-feminist men, I think. That was like, I'm forgetting his name. Christoph Petgaz, who was like the big Title IX guy. Yeah.
Cursat, Christoph Petgaz.
Cursat, that's right, Cursat. Okay. So anyway,
was he the one that trolled Watson?
No.
No. He's much more on the men's rights activist.
Yeah, no, he's
thing. Yeah.
He's the guy. He's the guy with the crazy hair.
Yeah, he's like from Turkey, and
he's like an almost ginger from Turkey.
Mm-hmm.
It's very strange. Yeah.
The line, men's rights activists are machines, dude, that I play at the end of every show. That's literally from a stream that Hassan Piker did, where he was responding to that debate, or that show or video where Petgaz was like, bringing the knowledge, basically. Like
okay. So Hassan Piker thinks like men's rights activists are because good in bed. What?
No. Like with their facts and data, and he makes it like a bad thing. But see, on the panel, without dragging this out too long, but on the panel that Petgaz was on, there were 3 men. One was an incel that I brought on my show to talk to, who had like some knowledge, about stuff, but didn't really, because it's not a mark against him. He's just not a men's rights activist. He doesn't know, like all of the issues with feminism. He's just an incel that basically... Yeah.
Being an incel isn't necessarily a political position.
Right. But they brought him on because incels were in the news and being talked about a lot. I think that's why they got him. And then there was this Asian guy that was just, again, he was like a TradCon guy. He didn't really know, a lot. But Petgaz knew. He knows, like, a lot of the ins and outs, right?
He's like a PhD student when I met him in San Diego. So
yeah. So when the other guys were talking, Hassan was just sort of like, laughing it off, like, oh yeah, this is typical of the, men's rights activist stuff, whatever. But when Petgaz started talking, he was like, oh shit, right? This guy like knows his shit. These women, they were stumped. And the funny thing is that's like after all of the editing, because he released like the full length of the conversation, even though the sound quality was pretty bad. And he was, but that's when Hassan said
recording of MRAs.
Yeah, that's when he said men's rights activists are machines because they have like, all of this data and these studies and blah, blah, blah. Right. So
they really know their stuff and it ruins it for everybody.
Yeah, they know there's exactly. He was like, these women are going to get rolled, dude. And yeah, they did. They got bodied on the thing. But anyway, so that was the only other time this happened. I don't think this was on Jubilee, but it might have been. And that was a while ago. So let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to start this like well into the discussion, and I want to play first this really funny thing, this funny bit that happened where the question was, period pain is exaggerated.
Is exaggerated. Okay, I'm glad no one stepped forward for that.
Yes, because they did you see the shaking the head?
Yeah,
of
the guy
nerves?
that was shaking his head.
It's
Yeah,
like no, we're not even going into that one. First of all,
that's a trap.
Well, but if you're a man, you don't have a uterus, you've never had period pain, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've had period pain. My period pain is not bad. My daughter has period pain. Her period pain is like, she works a physical job and it almost makes her call in sick for a day or two a month, right? So it really varies from woman to woman. I've had labor pains. They could hear me screaming out in the parking lot of the hospital, right? I'm on the 4th floor of the hospital. They hear me screaming on the far side of the parking lot, right? And other women are able to be like completely silent, and it's just like it was uncomfortable. It felt like really bad period pains, you know. So it's like it just differs from woman to woman,
of course.
and there's no way to quantify that even between women. So how would you expect people who don't have a uterus and don't get periods to even have a clue about whether it's exaggerated or not?
I mean, I guess they could have a trans man there.
I'm sure some women do. I'm sure other women play it down. They play through the pain.
Okay, yeah, that's basically what I was going to say. It's an asinine question. And in fact, the question itself says a lot more about the questioner. Women are different. They have different experiences. Okay, maybe what we should say is no period pain doesn't give you a license to kill. Yeah. That kind of thing. But maybe we have a discussion about that. Yeah. And if you do have really bad...
We can have a discussion about PMDD, right?
Yeah.
And how it should disqualify any woman from being president and having access to the nuclear codes.
Yes.
Because if you literally are so psychotic, you're so psychotic that you can be excused for murder because of your period. I don't know whether I want you in public office.
Yep. So if you want that excuse, to avoid the consequences of your agency, then you don't get to have full responsibility.
Yeah.
Because that full stop. Like, the more excuses you make to avoid responsibility for your agency based on being a woman, the less responsibility you deserve.
Okay, I have a question.
It's safe for you to have.
I have a question, though. Okay, we have an arc, okay, of stools where we're 20 minutes in.
Mm-hmm.
And the men are still standing.
No, it's like some voting thing that they do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they have to stand and vote or something. And I mean, I'm just glad that nobody got trapped by that stupid question.
Why do you have to stand to vote?
Well, let me tell you. So I already said this before, but the way this works is
step forward and step backward.
Yeah, they take a step forward if they agree with the sentiment.
Why not raise your hand? How about that?
They want to do it this way. This is a little bit more, I don't know. Maybe they think because they're on a stage or something. But I will. This is the thing I'll say. So you could argue that this is just a troll, and it is. It's an asinine question. Men can't answer that question because they don't have experience with it. A trans man wouldn't be useful because even a trans man's experiences are different from a real man's experience. But
or from a cis woman's experience.
Yeah. So then, to me, this question is a shit test. If a man steps forward, then he's in trouble. But we're supposed to believe that men run everything. So
Yeah, I
why would
know.
a man fear stepping forward if he's if he's in charge?
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't understand that. Well, no, I think they do understand what they're saying. They just, you know what? I'm pretty sure that our society is all thieves and grifters all the way down at this point. So, no, honestly, like I think we've coasted to a stop, and everybody's stealing the hubcaps. But yeah, let's watch some more of this.
So anyway,
I'm done with pyramid pain.
Yeah, so no one took the
Pyramid
bait,
pain.
and that includes, by the
Pyramid
way,
pain. I'd rather
Did the
talk
pharaohs-
about pyramid pain.
Did the pharaohs experience pyramid pain?
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
don't think the pharaohs experienced pyramid pain. I think the
slaves.
were
Yeah.
the ones who were experiencing. Maybe the architect, Imhotep, was like, "Oh God, not another one."
Yeah,
Can't we
firing
do
that
something-
guy, fire him, cut his head off, right? Crucify him, and we get a new architect here.
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I bet you.
Okay, keep going.
Okay, I'm gonna keep going.
I'm gonna change my mind.
All right, next prompt.
Their laughter is annoying.
Innocent men suffer because of feminism.
All right.
God, oh God, I hate that voice. You know that feminism.
Innocent men suffer because of feminism.
It's not you can't. You're not replicating the horror of that place. The way that those syllables come out, all jibbled and jumbled, like that. Like I can't even replicate that.
Okay, you're all gibbled up now because you're going all wonky on me.
Your
Yeah,
sound
I
is a
know.
bit robotic.
Oh, it does that now.
Oh, it's not now.
Not now.
Okay.
Okay.
No, now it is.
So, before we get their answers, what do you guys think in the chat? Let me know. Do innocent men suffer because of feminism, or is that just overblown? Or is that what it feels like to realize that your privilege is slipping away, which I think the common feminist argument. Senior Sticks gives us $2 and says, "What is a woman? What is a man? What is a grifter?" All right, thank you, Senior Sticks. All right, let's keep going.
Oh my God, I think we got a more coherent definition of grifter than the other two at this point.
So I think today in 2022,
So these guys are the anti-feminists, okay, that came and sat down.
Oh,
But this is what I want to say. No one on this entire panel is red-pilled. So don't expect like based answers, okay? Just saying.
no, I'm already preparing my
They're gonna
my
oppose
internal-
this, but
my brain's sphincter for what he's about to say.
yeah, it's about a it's basically like,
I know where
completely
he's going
dickless
already.
or just absolutely flaccid. Like that, those are your options. So
Feminism has changed drastically. I once wrote
know
a
where he's
blog
going.
post. I once wrote a blog post for Fetal Bogan's blog, right, called "Feminism Was Never Not Rotten." Okay, and I don't believe feminism was ever not rotten. I think it's had a streak of man-hating and entitlement a mile wide, running right through the heart of it, right from the beginning, right from Mary
even before the beginning.
Wollstonecraft, Mary Wollstonecraft,
Mhm.
and all of the early feminists, Susan B. Anthony, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Emmeline Pankhurst, all of these icons who are viewed as heroes, and we put them on the British money and shit. They were never not horrible people.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Never not horrible, selfish, entitled. See you next Tuesdays.
Yeah.
I'm trying to clean up my language a little bit. I'm trying to follow the
guidelines.
The lead of Van Hall from the channel LFR Family, who has some great sugar honey iced tea reaction videos out there.
What?
Sugar honey iced tea. Did you not hear the sugar
No,
honey
I did.
iced
I just think
come
it's
out of my mouth?
I've never had sugar honey iced tea. Sounds good.
Yeah, well, it doesn't taste great.
No?
In fact, it tastes like shit.
Oh.
But Sounds good.
It does sound good.
All right.
All right, let's
Sounds better
continue.
than shit.
Okay, before we continue, I would like to speak.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
One, yeah. It was all bad, and the thing is that it probably started with Charles Fourier and the formulation of feminism, which basically just says, yeah, society should be judged by how it treats women. Period. Instead of God, we'll just look at how it treats women. And so you're absolutely right. It was rotten.
Citizens or individuals or humans or whatever.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
No.
Or men and women, period, based
Or
on
men, women, and
interests.
children, or you know, even all living creatures. Which
no, it's just women.
Would like. No, just women.
Yep, Charles Fourier, just women. That's all we have to concern ourselves with.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really never deviated from that, even though it professes to equality, and yet has.
Look at their climate change is a problem because women are most affected.
Mm-hmm.
Women are most harmed, right? This environmental pollution is a problem because women are most harmed, right?
I mean, they've even said that war affects women more because they lose their husbands
and their sons and their fathers, their husbands, their sons in combat. They're often left alone to raise the children, right? Because their husbands are dead, and therefore they are the most harmed, right? So they are the primary victims. So what we have is an entire cottage industry, like an umbrella industry, right, of things that grift off of that women are most harmed narrative, right? So environmentalism can use it. Climate change activists can use it. And anybody can use it. And socialists can use it when criticizing capitalism, right? Anybody can use this. The school to prison pipeline. I've seen feminists claim that girls are most harmed by the school to prison pipeline.
Conservatives can use it.
Yeah.
And do.
Yeah. So it's like, and now these conservatives are probably going to say feminism harms women, and that's why it's bad.
Are you guys
already blame the trans community on men's rights, and on the other side, the trans rights community has blamed TERFs, trans exclusionary radical feminists, on men's rights activists.
I know. No, they are. TERFs say TRAs are MRAs. Men's rights activists are trans rights activists. We're interchangeable. I'm like, really? Because I thought that, there's a little overlap. Like, we think that health insurance, Obamacare, should pay for prostate cancer screening for both men and trans women, but, anybody with a prostate.
Yeah. All right, let's keep going.
Yes,
right.
I feel the desire to continue.
Feminism has changed drastically, and I think it's really turned into demonizing masculinity in men while promoting masculinity in women, and with that, good men are being pushed to the wayside and pushing parts of themselves down and not embracing their own masculinity because society is telling them that it's wrong.
100%.
All right, I just want you guys to know that I'm playing this. The playback is a little bit faster.
Yeah.
So, and that's mainly so that we can get through this quicker, but also because I think it avoids or helps avoid the algorithm.
No, but you always have to keep it under 20 seconds. That is a hard rule. Because the thing is, we lost the last one because you put it over like the, what was it? Men, the horror video thing, film, Men.
Oh, the movie? Yeah.
Yes,
we watched
we watched
we watched the whole thing, me and my husband. So, and the end was just like, what the fuck is this crap, right? I mean, I did like the fact that she eventually felt guilty for, kind of, she did feel responsible. right? But the whole point of the movie was to make it so that she shouldn't have to feel responsible, right? And I mean, like there were some like really weird themes in there, like basically that men just want to be loved by women, and you know, like at the very end of it, after we watched several like forest gods give birth to her dead husband who committed suicide, you know, she asks him like, what do you want from me? And he says, I want you to love me. And she's like, oh, huh.
Okay, I want to say this. I think that this wasn't like
it was
surface,
just very, very weird.
The surface text says this is about men, but if you just scrape it a little bit, the monster in the movie is a hermaphroditic entity that is taking over women's ability to give birth in a horror context.
Yeah.
So I think it's
very strange.
It's very strange. I think that the simplistic reading is this is kind of some kind of anti-male feminist text. I actually think it's you know what? I'd have to watch it to really contend with it. But I think that if your big bad is a hermaphrodite with a vagina and a working uterus, it's probably not a man.
Yeah, but he actually gives birth to the suicided dead husband, right? Feet first out its mouth. So I mean, it's very, very, very strange. It's extremely weird. It is some kind of entity that can take any form, and it was weird because she goes to, you know, spend 2 weeks in some, you know, country house, sort of a manor house out in the middle of nowhere, Airbnb, some shit, right? Alone, and the entire village is just men. There's like only men. You don't see a single other woman other than her.
And the cop.
And oh yeah, that one cop who responded to the scene when the naked guy followed her home. But yeah, it's just a very, 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 very freaking weird movie. I feel like I wasted 2 hours watching it. Like it's 2 hours of my life that I'll never get back because like it could have resolved in some satisfying way, but instead they went into this weird hermaphroditic forest god, Celtic forest god thing, giving birth several times over, right, to all of its previous iterations and then finally to her husband. And then they have this revelation, what do you want? And he says, I want you to love me. And that's the end of it. And it's like, well, if I mean, I guess.
I guess that's horrible. I guess that's
weird.
The horror, isn't it?
It is pretty horrible that men want women to love them, but...
Yeah, but it's apparently men wanting anything from women is entitlement.
Yeah, I know.
But the thing is that, can we imagine this platonic man that feminists are trying to create that wants absolutely nothing from women, but gives them absolutely everything?
Yeah, that's not entitlement.
Yeah, that's a robot, and okay, good luck with that.
So I guess
I'm pretty sure a man who wants absolutely nothing from women is just going to walk away.
Yeah,
and enjoy his life.
So
yeah,
I think we should continue.
But he's bad too.
I think
of course, because they don't control him. All right.
Yeah, I think we should continue. But the last thing I'll say about men, since Karen put in her 2 cents, I actually think that there could be a case made that it's not about how awful men are, but it's about how awful women are for having these presumptions about men. And so it could just be her own delusions and her own personal demons. But I don't know. That's something I think is up for, it's a possible reason. Alex Garland, you know, he's big on making everything really vague and subjective. So, but anyway.
Yeah.
Really, can I make a comment on what we just watched?
Huh?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm going to make a comment on what we just watched. Okay.
Yeah.
Literally, feminism says that it is at war with masculinity. Well, maybe not literally. I mean, that would be just too on the nose, too clear.
Yeah, but they have terms like testosterone poisoning and and
toxic masculinity, which is
and
every form of masculinity. Like there is no positive.
Patriarchal masculinity is also bad.
And hegemonic masculinity.
I'm
trying to wrap my mind around what hegemonic masculinity means.
Well, hegemonic masculinity is a single cultural set of standards for all men.
Well, geez, gosh, that's I guess that's too easy. But the what they seem to be dancing around is they don't want men to identify as men, and they are saying that the process of men identifying as men. And the reason why I say this is there was a feminist man who essentially talked about being male without being a man or identifying as a man.
Yeah.
And how to do that. I'm like, okay, this must be, ultimately, this is where it's all pointing. They do not want men to identify as men. And they are very clear that they regard masculinity to be morally inferior to that of femininity. So if men embrace their femininity, they would become better people. In fact, if they rejected their masculinity, embraced their femininity, they would become better people. Okay, so this is very explicit. So what this man is saying is that feminists are doing what they say they're doing. And this is some kind of radical statement. That's what astounds me. Feminists say, okay, we're doing this. We're challenging masculinity, men's desire to identify as men, to have a clear standard, to say this is what makes a man. And then they embody the standard, and then, okay, I can feel like a man. That's bad. We don't want them feeling like men. We want them to feel like amorphous, skinless creatures that are constantly being bruised by every least breeze.
Atomized and isolated, not part of the group.
Atomized and isolated. We don't want them to derive a positive identity from what they share with other men. No, but this is what they do. And this guy is pointing that out just simply. Yeah. And feminists will say, if the future is female, femininity is essentially better than masculinity. They'll do everything but say that.
And then when you call them on it, they'll say either we're not doing that, or they'll say, well, we don't have the institutional power to make that happen anyway.
Oh, they don't even bother with the institutional power anymore. In fact, they don't really, aside from the lunatics, they aren't really even engaging. I mean, this is they have so locked down everything to the point where somebody's simply turning around. Like a feminist will go and they'll erect a sign that says the future is female. Men would be better if they embraced their femininity and rejected their masculinity. And someone would go look at the sign and say, feminists say that the future is female and men would be better if they rejected their masculinity and embraced their femininity. And immediately they'd be descended upon by feminists and saying, well, what are you doing? You're an anti-feminist. How dare you say this? And
how dare you point out what you said? Yeah.
How dare you point? This isn't anti-feminism. It's simply just reality. It's simply having the right to stand there and say, this is what you're doing.
Yeah. No, but it's a crime to point it out when you see it.
Yeah. It's not a crime to do it. It's like people are robbing in broad daylight, and it becomes a crime to simply say, hey, aren't they running out of that TV shop with sacks full of TVs?
Yeah.
Oh
no, that's the real crime.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's continue.
Infuriating. Okay.
I think anything that is deemed masculine is seen as now toxic, and I see it all over social media. You can't really say anything or do anything, especially even against or even for yourself, without it being weaponized in some way or shape or form.
Yeah. It's a shame that feminism has become less about actual equality and more about supremacy.
Never was about equality.
Never was about equality, and also I need people to define for me what they mean when they say equality, because I don't think they that word means what you think it means. That's just me. I don't want to get all into that, but equality is bullshit. It's a bullshit term. Men and women are different. Individual men and women have an interest in different things. You're gonna get different outcomes. Stop bitching, because the only way you're gonna like achieve equality, and I put that in quotes, is to essentially make everything the same, because there'll always be disparities. So just let it go.
Well, that's equity, though. Equality is just like...
But no, because the thing is, equality of opportunity, which is always like brought up as the counterpoint. Let's say that you create a system where everyone has equality of opportunity, which is basically like, you know, every Western country, just about, right? People will still look at the outcomes and conclude that the equality of opportunity thing is not equal enough. So there's no bottom to that. The best thing that you can do is simply remove obstacles. That's all you can do. That's about as equality of opportunity as it gets, and then expect, you know, uneven outcomes, because it's going to be. So, I mean, that's how I see it.
No, I agree. Thomas Sowell figured that out like back in 1989 or earlier.
Yeah.
You know, anybody who wants to watch him, he was on William F. Buckley's show. I think they posted the video on a channel called Liberty Pen.
Oh yeah, I'm subscribed to that one.
And he's sitting there dealing with this woman named Mrs. Pill, and that was just a fun name. But Mrs. Pill kept on bringing up statistics, and he kept on he just was like, no nonsense, just put her down, like just freaking pinned her to the mat on every single thing that came out of her mouth. She's like this little unassuming little librarian looking old lady, and he's just like, yeah, no. And he was 50 in that video. He looks like he's like 22. Black really don't crack.
No, it doesn't. All right. So anyway, yeah, the equal thing. This is the reason why these guys are blue pilled. All right, they're hung up on like what equality is the good equality. None of it.
Well, they're hung up on the logic.
I think they're purple pilled.
They're hung up. No, they're pretty red pilled. They're blue pilled. They're hung up on the logic of it all, right? The trying to put them into a logical frame of mind and argue the logic when none of this is about logic. None of these people truly believe what they're espousing. I think this is the real freaking black pill. They all know that they're lying, and really, when you engage on a logical level, they're using your credulity to give their arguments a patina of legitimacy. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't like go through the logic of these arguments and be able to rejoin with them, because if you don't have a logical stance to your beliefs, then your beliefs are not related to reality, and you should probably question them. But in this context, what these guys against, and I don't know what kind of mentality they have, really, is human instinct. Like, the men who are going to be trotted out are simply men who believe their sole purpose in life as men is to protect and provide for women. That's it.
Yep.
And these guys are just like, well, maybe we can't rise above that. I mean, this entire thing is just a reassertion of older gender roles, or just biological gender roles. And I don't know what happens with editing, but I'm guessing that these guys end up getting trounced somehow.
Well, let's continue. I got a super chat from Senior Sticks for $5, and he says, "Didn't men start feminism? Also, Susan B. asked for equality under the law, so not rotten."
No, Susan B. Anthony was well aware of how women held superior social power to men, and specifically social power over men. And so she wanted rights, like equal rights on top of that. She didn't want to erode women's social power as some kind of exchange. She wanted the whole shebang. So yeah, no.
All right.
She was not an equalist.
All right, let's continue the video.
It's not about equal rights between men and women. It's about women being superior to men. And women don't even like it anymore, right? I hear conversations with so many girls that are friends of mine. They're like, I hate what feminism has become because it makes me feel as if I'm a victim, and also too that men aren't supposed to be men anymore.
So that's literally the thing that Alison predicted, is that they were going to make it about how it harms women, when literally the question is innocent men suffer because of feminism.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's fine to bring out this point, I think.
It is.
But
well, because
think
if women are victims, then who are the perpetrators, and so who ends up being harmed by the system, right? I'm just on Twitter this afternoon in a discussion about Australia's domestic violence laws, and it's like that just assumes that, like, if a man calls the police are trained to treat him like, and says my wife is assaulting me, right? The police are trained to view him as the aggressor, to view him with suspicion. He's probably making a false allegation against his wife, right? And this is against all the research. It's against every single study that's credible that's been done, and and this is how the policy works. And so it casting women as victims, it does harm women. Right, just like a child that's out of control and never disciplined, is not well served by that. Okay, and is not going to turn into a well-functioning, well-adjusted, productive adult, responsible adult. Right. Well, women are no different. If you basically say to women, well, you're the victim, no matter what your situation, right? Whether the situation is of someone else's making or your own, right? You don't need to learn a lesson from anything. And you can just continue behaving the way you do.
And have complete control over your life.
Yeah, and then men end up being collateral damage to that, because these women will falsely accuse them, they'll beat them. The women in that situation know that their men are between a rock and a hard place. I can't call the cops because I'll be the one arrested, right? Oh, well, I can't leave because I can't leave my kids alone with her. I can't take the kids, right? Because then I'll be arrested. So it's like women, bad actors who are women know all of the advantages that they have, that feminism gives them. And they have that easy script, and they probably convince themselves through social programming in their own minds that they indeed are the victim in those situations where they're the abuser.
Right.
Oh my Jesus Christ.
So what I would say in terms of the victimization of women, first of all, empowering female bad actors doesn't really help women who are not interested in having empowerment to act badly.
Yeah.
And would instead prefer that female bad actors not be empowered to harm them.
Yep.
Because in many cases, most of the violence and aggression that women experience or men experience is intrasexual, because that's where the competition lies. So when you empower female bad actors, they very often have female victims.
Yep.
And if you refuse to hold them accountable, then they just go through other women like tissue paper. And that's what I've seen in feminism. Feminism is more interested in giving shelter to female bad actors than protecting women from other women, because it would threaten the very basis of feminism. Yep. And then the other thing that I would point out is, if men have an instinct to provide and protect for women, which is patently obvious that they do, because I'm pretty sure if they didn't, at the very least, women would have been kicked the hell out of society the moment feminism started. Like, literally, if men didn't have, well, first of all, I don't think men would have give women the benefit of the society or the institutions that they built. They'd just be like, no, you want access to our sport clubs? No, we made them. You want access to our universities? Make your own. We made them. You want access to our government? We're the ones who created it and sacrificed for it. Make your own, ladies. Men never think to do that, because it's inborn in them to give stuff to women. When they have resources, they feel an urge to give them to women because that's their instinct. And I mean, it's just like what do termite drones make the termite mound for? The termite queen or the ant queen or whatever. It's an instinct. That's why they think that that's the reason why it exists. So it's just there's no resistance there. And I was really thinking about this because how did it come to pass that men constructed these institutions, these places, these gatherings, all of this stuff, sports, hobbies, universities, governments.
The Water Buffalo Lodge.
Yeah. How did men construct all of this stuff? And women just automatically have a right to access to it because they were excluded. The answer is they don't.
They demand entry and then they get in. Yeah.
There is no moral argument based on fairness, based on property, based on possession,
merit
that justifies that behavior. It is the result of a morality we don't want to talk about or examine that simply says that if men construct something, women are owed access to it or the benefits of it. If they don't have direct access to the workings of it, then they are owed access to the benefits of it. And this is a truth that we operate under, and we do not examine it at all. We don't stop and ever think, well, wait a second. Yeah, sure, maybe women are getting the ice cream, but maybe they shouldn't be mucking around in the gears of the ice cream machine if they're not going to be held responsible to the standard of keeping it running, and instead see all of the meritocratic achievements as another form of ice cream.
Yeah.
Okay, as opposed to a recognition that you keep the machine running. That kind of thing. We don't think about that. We just think, oh, well, if they want it, it's a resource, we should give it to them. No analysis below that.
No.
And I was thinking about it. It was just like, it was blowing my mind that this is just the way we operate, and we don't even analyze it. We don't even stop and say, is this appropriate? Is this maintainable? You know, and where was I going with this? Geez, you know what? I don't even remember. That was a point in and of itself. I lost the
that was
original...
a point in and of itself. Let's keep going.
Maybe I'll remember.
Us of the responsibilities that we have as males in society to be providers, to be protectors. Right. And innocent men suffer because we're made out to be toxic because we're fulfilling our roles as men in this world. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, and I mean, I disagree a little bit with saying that men have to be providers, but I think, demonizing those men is part of the problem.
What?
Well, okay. I would say I would agree with this guy, okay? Because these are still demands on men. Provider, protector. Just look at the child support awards, look at the alimony statistics, look at the statistics on not just first responders, firemen, policemen, military, all of that, National Guard, all of those things, but the statistics on all of the unpleasant outdoor jobs, the dangerous work, all of those things, right? Okay, if we did not have men who were willing to step up and do those roles, right, we would be in big trouble. And yet we are raising generations of men, and it's not just because the military's gone woke that they're having a recruitment problem. It's because the people coming up who are of age now to join the military were raised K through 12, with a feminist agenda embroidered into their curricula, into their school curricula the entire way, right? Where you're not supposed to be tough, you're not supposed to have grit, you're not supposed to be courageous, you're not all of those things, all of those traditionally manly things, they're all bad and shameful, they're all toxic, right? They're harmful to you and they're harmful to others. And so, this is not just some kind of sudden thing that crept up on the military after General Milley dyed his hair fucking pink and said he wanted to learn about white rage. No, this is about an agenda that's been part of the works in the education system, where even letting boys be boys has been not a thing. right? So even when you allow boys out at recess, children of both genders out at recess, and the boys decide they want to engage in rough and tumble play because that's what they like, because that suits their natures, they're not allowed to do that, right? Those things are suppressed, right? So we have this massive weight of messaging on children as they're coming up through school from K to 12, probably into preschool as well, and daycare, right? That boy things are not good. Masculine things are not good. Anything traditionally masculine is not good. Unless you're a woman, then you can be a firefighter or a police officer or a soldier. You can feel proud, right? But if you're a man, you're just indulging in toxic masculinity, right? So I mean, it's a complete set of double standards. It's entirely frustrating, and the problem is that we actually need men to be in those roles. Fewer now than 100 years ago, fewer now than 50 years ago. But we still need men to be able and willing to go up in a cherry picker in -40 weather and fix the frickin' power lines after a storm, right? Mm. We still need those people, and women aren't stepping up to do that. They're just not.
Uh-huh.
You know, the reason why men are still doing it, I think, is because they have a hell of a lot more stigma on them if they don't provide. So they have to go out and get a job, period. You
well,
know,
and a job that pays well. And
a job that pays well.
A lot of those jobs, you know, especially if you get in with a union or whatever, they pay quite nicely.
Yep.
Well, what I think also what I wanted to say is that this is what's interesting about this is if you take a big step back, both sets of men are operating in the similar mindset of giving resources to women. It's
That's
just
all
they disagree.
Yeah.
They disagree over what resources to give to women.
Resources come from the outside and they flow inward, and women are at the center.
I think that the big difference between the two is possibly their own perception of the resources that they can give to women. So men who are more physically orientated will gravitate to, or systems orientated will gravitate towards the idea that they are giving something. They're giving electricity, central heating, money, protection, that kind of thing to women. So more concrete things. Whereas men who gravitate more towards the, I guess you would call mental processes, not just like philosophy, but also sophistry. Yeah, well, yeah, regardless, but they want to see what they're giving to women to be the thing that women need.
We're giving them space and tolerance and acceptance and encouragement.
And we're giving them the means to...
And we're also giving them a bunch of these other guys money.
Yes, and we're also giving them supposedly self-actualization and access to meritocracy and all of this other stuff.
Which is something that you can't give. You cannot give someone self-actualization.
Yes, you can't give it. You can't give it. But regardless, they want to think that they're giving women intellectual and spiritual and social things, whereas this other group of men wants to give them, concretes,
tangible commodities.
Point is, between the two, what our society is attempting to do is construct a society for the benefit of women in a concrete sense, and then give women the belief that they are the ones who've constructed it.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, which is completely and men have to pay the bill for both.
Yeah. Which
is functionally destroying them.
Well, and it's destroying society.
And it's destroying society in the process because men are no longer, and I don't mean, this is not an issue of entitlement. You don't want men who do things because they think they don't care the situation for women as a result of them. Or alternatively, it's a plus that women's situation gets worse. Like literally, if you're not going to tell men, oh yes, actually your actions benefit society, that includes women. In fact, it mostly benefits women since women aren't the ones expecting to do it. Women aren't the ones who still have that absolute expectation that you make money, even at the expense of your own health, the destruction of your own health. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Like women don't have that level of expectation placed on them. That's why men are still occupying those very important roles. And we aren't even willing to accept that men gain something by having these more stringent standards placed on them. Normally we would call it manhood, but now we're not allowed to do that because that excludes women, even though we're not going to put those standards on women. We're not going to force them into it. Because so manhood just basically becomes a person doing this other thing, and we're just recognizing that. No, we can't do that because that excludes women psychologically from the belief that they're the ones who construct society. So it's like we aren't even giving men the benefit of knowing what they do is in any way beneficial to women. In fact, we do the opposite. Like,
you know what I think?
People cannot operate under this. They can't.
No, they can't. And you know what I think is the greatest irony is that actually the traditional role of wife and mother, right, probably is more helpful to the men who keep the lights on and the water running, right? Than the feminist woman who earns her own money and decides she does not need to partner with anyone or give any man children, or give him any motivation or, any kind of motivation to actually feel like he's self-fulfilling when he does those difficult jobs, right?
We don't even talk about personal life choices. We can just talk about a gigantic media organ that's pumping the belief that men's collective action damages women. Just stop that. Just stop it. And actually replace it right now. If we could just stop that and replace it with the message of, oh yes, this additional standard that you're held to is critically important for the benefit of women and society, that might be an improvement in men's mental health. But we won't even do that. And also that standard, you know what? It actually isn't necessarily something that women are responsible for. What I've noticed is that men hold each other to that standard.
Yeah.
In many cases. Women will insult men about that standard. This is what I've noticed. They'll say, you're not a real man, and do not dare say that women don't do that. I mean, I've seen this in letters from like Hemingway, from his wife and this psychotic woman that abused him. They both laid unbelievable guilt trips to a guy who was a veteran of World War I. Guilt trips about becoming a man. What the fuck? Where do you get off saying that? And women do this. They will insult men based on what they perceive men to be, which sometimes is absolutely hilarious.
Yeah,
but
and what I need in the moment.
But it is men who will not just hold each other to that standard, but help each other attain it.
Yeah.
Through collaboration and cooperation. That's not always the case, but it's much more common. So, and they won't even allow for that. They won't even say, this is a standard that's put on men by men, and men help each other achieve it. It's really important that we keep it. It's really beneficial to women and society. Where do you hear that messaging? Anywhere? Do you even hear it from freaking conservatives? Conservatives are beating the drum about, men need to marry. Men need to somehow use their man voodoo wiles to make the wild pink-haired feminists fall in love with them and make babies. Really?
Well, no, but that's not really the conservative position. But
yes, it is. No, I've seen it. I've read it.
The conservative position is the actual conservative position is that traditional roles are healthy, right? So the wife might work. She might work part-time. She might bring in a second income, maybe not the primary income. She might even bring in the primary income for a while, but that's a temporary thing usually, because she's going to be occupied with raising children, and she's going to want to stay home for that. And women do overwhelmingly want to stay home with their kids when they're small. And men feel an urge to, they actually are chemically rewarded when they have children, to go out, to leave the family sphere, whether that's leave the house and go to a job, or whether that's go into the home office and close the door and do some work and bring in resources and then share them with their wives and children. That's just the chemical reward system that women are punished when they are not near their babies. They're chemically punished by their own bodies when they're not in proximity to their babies. And men are rewarded for leaving and coming back with stuff, right? And that's just how the biology works. And that's why monogamous marriage has been such a success in terms of pushing society forward, pushing technology forward. And, and you can say, well, we're in an unprecedented era of technological advancement. Yeah, we're also in an unprecedented era of $34 trillion in debt, the US government, right? Where the hell did that come from?
Well, it came from a society that's no longer productive and is just resting on its laurels and on a centralized currency.
And it's putting the grocery bills and the mortgage on the credit card,
and also on the children that are no longer being born. Well, I mean, we could get into a lot of how families are structured, because I think that there's this huge underestimate of how much work women did in the past.
Oh yeah,
in terms of industry.
But it was essentially what I'm
and also
saying.
I think we underestimate the fact that for most of human history, dad's work was in the home.
Yes,
and also involved a lot of interaction with his kids. So
yes.
I mean, in terms of directing them and to do productive work, and also probably teaching them, etc. So this is what we're dealing with right now. Is we're coming off an artificial situation that was an artificial situation that was an artificial situation, way to a really deep degree. But before we continue, I should probably do some arm twisting, because we have called out.
Like, do you have any thank yous to give out, or it's just arm twisting?
Yes, I do have some thank yous to give out, and I will do that. Okay, so I would like to thank Polaris, who put in $200 before the show started. So thank you, Polaris. And Dem C. I'm not going to say anything more because that looks suspiciously like a legal name. So who put in $25? Thank you, Dempsey.
Thank you.
That's what I've gotten so far during the show. So I guess I'm going to have to do some arm twisting. Once again, I really thank everybody who supports. It's very much appreciated that you make sure that we are able to do this each month. We would not be able to continue without your support. And for me, that's sort of terrifying, because I think in many ways we are the ones who present this analysis in this way. I'm not even sure that there are other men's rights activists who present quite the breadth of analysis that we do. Make the connection between ignoring men's issues and the functional destruction that we're seeing in our society. So these issues need to be talked about, and they need to be talked about in the way that we talk about them. Not just that these are problems for men, because really the problems for men are one thing, but these problems unaddressed propagate to our entire society. And until we deal with them, we are not going to be moving forward. We're just going to continue to coast to a stop as a society. And I want to make sure that we are able to continue to talk about these things. And every month, of course, I always have that existential fear that we are not going to be able to continue. So please do help out and make sure that we are able to, because we exist because you support us. That's it. We have nobody else to appeal to but you. And a lot of the reason why is simply because people cannot contend with this stuff. I mean, I'm sure everybody listening has had this experience where they explain something to a person and they say, I see that. And then they immediately default back to saying things or framing things or ideologies that show they haven't integrated this at all. It's because they're dealing. Sorry?
John the other called it intellectual Teflon.
Yeah. It's like they cannot conceptualize of this stuff. And I'm going to tell you, the dragons come from your blind spot. Like Jordan Peterson said that. They come from what you're not looking at. And this is something, what we talk about is what very few people are willing to look at, very few people are willing to contend with, because it requires work that's difficult, and nobody wants to do work. So that's why we're all, every month we have to be like, please help us out, make sure we can continue. I really want to be able to continue, because like I said, I think this is really critical. And the reason why I think it's really critical is this. All right, let me do a bit of a digression right now. Well, let's look at hunter-gatherer tribes and how they structure themselves. And the reason why I'm pointing this out is because hunter-gatherer tribes live on the extremes of human ecology. So if they screw anything up, they're gone. There's very little room for error. They aren't sitting on silos, gigantic silos full of grain. So they need to get it right. And they need to get it right often the very first time. And what's interesting about hunter-gatherer societies is that anthropologists have looked at how they structure their division of labor for men. And they do a very strong division of men and women. Men do gathering activities, men do hunting activities. There's some small-scale hunting activities that women do, and men, for example, will gather very valuable items like honey, which they go on a. But for the most part, there's this demarcation.
Because there's bees, Alison.
Yeah, bees. And there's this demarcation, and anthropologists looked at this, and they determined that women were productive if they did during gathering activities where they could, and men would have been more productive if they gathered during their hunting activities where they could. So why is it that these societies that live on the very edge, very ecological edge, have these divisions when it would be more overall productive if they didn't? And the answer is because they motivate each other. Women's productivity motivates men's productivity, which motivates women's productivity. You can only get these things from women, which spurs the interaction and the connection and the community and the relationships between men and women. So the way that hunter-gatherer societies structure all this is the best gatherer gets the best hunter. And there's all kinds of fairness involved in that, and all kinds of reducing conflicts between intersexual competitions for the best mates and all of that stuff. So if you are a good gatherer, if you do your very best as a gatherer, you get the best hunter. You get the best status hunter. Okay? That is incentivizing female productivity by male productivity. And of course, if you are the best hunter, you get the best material comforts from the best gatherer. That's how it works. And we incentivize each other using our instincts and the connection between those two to make a society work. That is the engine of our society. And where is our engine now in our society? Where is men incentivizing women's productivity, incentivizing men's productivity, incentivizing women's productivity, on and on and on like a magneto? It's utterly destroyed. Our engine has fallen out like 50 miles ago, and we are coasting to a stop. And now we live in a society that seems to be defined entirely by theft and grift. Why? Because our society is no longer moving forward. It no longer has its productive engine. So now our society has gone to a standstill, and the only thing left to do is to strip it. That's why we're seeing what we're seeing right now. But the only thing that can cure that, because it seems like every single human society has its weight of parasites and corruption, but the only thing that keeps it in check is moving forward, having that productive engine, keeping our momentum going. But it's not. And the only way that we are going to fix it is not through conservatism, not through Christianity, not through liberalism, feminism, any kind of ism. The only way we're going to fix it is by fixing that productive engine. And if we lose the understanding of that, we are fucked. We are fucked. And you people are the only people who understand this, who can contend with it, who don't have Teflon in their brains. So this is it. If we don't continue, and if we don't continue to be able to talk about this stuff and talk about the things that nobody wants to look at or consider, what are we going to have in the end of the day? for our kids, for our future. We're going to have nothing but a carcass. So please consider supporting this. And yeah, I could be completely wrong. But I know that I approached this entire situation looking at the evidence first, not looking at it with an attempt to make the evidence conform with my beliefs. I didn't start this as a men's rights activist or a masculinist or any kind of ideology. In fact, I started it as a feminist, looking at this information and letting it update my worldview. So this is my analysis based on all of the information that I've got. If we do not fix this problem, if we do not fix the relationship between men and women, we are utterly fucked. And it starts with actually acknowledging that, actually realizing that's the politics that matter. That's the politics we need to address. And once again, very few people can handle that. And if you're listening to me now, you're one of them. So please consider supporting and making sure we can continue to do this work. It's at feedthebadger.com/support. All right.
So I got a couple super chats, and then I think we should watch some more, because I want to get to the point where the feminist men come to and they discuss with them. So, all right, Polaris 589 gives us $10 and says, "I'm pretty sure NATO spending almost 20 years defending drug dealers and child predators in Afghanistan might have something to do with low military recruitment numbers."
Good.
All right, I don't want to get into all that, but thank you, Polaris. Senior Sticks gives us $2 and says, "How's the last day of Women's History Month been to you?" Today is the last day of Women's History Month. I guess women are going to cease to have a history tomorrow.
It was Women's History Month?
It was, yeah, like, didn't you know? March is Women's History Month, and Women's Day is like, International Women's Day is in Women's History Month.
I did not know.
Okay. I'm just curious if there's anything that you guys can contend with what I said.
No, I want to hear the super chats.
Oh, I'm done with them.
Okay.
So
we're done.
All right. All right. So let's listen to more of the video.
Yeah, I would disagree a little bit, but I think also too, though, what we probably would agree on is that in a society that makes women feel as if they need to be more like men, all you get is really bad versions of men. And when you have men who are increasingly more feminine, you get men who aren't being men at all anymore. And I think like that's a huge societal problem, and we see the ripple effects and the consequences of that every single day.
All right, so here come the male feminists. These guys are a fucking trip.
Okay.
They all look. Y'all have a huge misconception of even what feminism is. Well, the goal of feminism isn't to demasculate men. The goal of feminism is to fight for social, political, and economic equality for everyone, regardless of your race, gender.
All right, I'm just
without
pausing
ever
it there.
measuring the side for men. Without ever measuring the side for men. As if you are operating under unexamined programming that you refuse to look at. Like, that's what's hilarious about this. Let's trot in here and explain to these people why
we'll just read the dictionary definition and we're done.
Yeah,
and dictionary definition obviously points to the fact that providing and protecting women is the thing that we should do. You know, duh.
Provide equal opportunity and then protect that equal opportunity at all costs.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You use this as sort of a shield for the fact that what you're creating isn't equality at all. It's just continuing to provide and protect for women.
Yeah.
You never, none of these people, I guarantee none of these men ever looked at the situation for women before, or for men before deciding to provide and protect for women. It's just because it's an expression of an instinct. They don't even think they need to.
Yep. All right, let's keep going.
Or equality of outcome, because it used to be equality of opportunity, and that's when I would say I would be a feminist.
But either
now
way,
it's become equality of
but
outcome.
either way, what y'all are talking about is feelings.
Right.
Y'all talking about, I don't like how women make me feel in society about crying, how women make me...
Well, the question was about feelings.
Yeah. No, hold
It was
on.
about our men affected,
Hold
that's
on.
feelings.
Yeah, but,
so yes, that's
but
a conversation.
feminism itself is not about feeling. It's about, like you said, outcome. It's about the wage gap. It's about being...
I mean, he's being honest, even if it's dopey.
Feminism is not about feelings. It's
It's not about feelings.
Oh,
it's about data.
It's not about feeling like I'm getting a raw deal even when I'm getting a better deal. It's not about feeling things that don't exist. It's not about that woman that I saw on, oh God, I think it was, we met her in London, Alison and Brian. Weather girl,
Deanna
Lorraine, yeah. Okay, and she posted this thing on Twitter. This woman, she's got a baby in the car and she's doing a little TikTok or something from her car. She's like, it's broad daylight. She's like, I was in the parking lot and walking to my car, and this man approached me. He was like about 30 feet away, and he's like, excuse me, miss. And I just turned, and I was just like terrified, and I yelled at him, do not approach me. Do not approach me, right? And then he starts swearing at me and going, what the fuck is your problem, bitch? Right? And I just kept yelling, do not approach me. And that's how you make men go away, is you yell, do not approach me in your strongest voice, right? And you act real loud and strong, right? And then I got the baby in the car, and I got in the car, I locked the doors, and now I'm like so terrified, I'm shaking, right? And then Deanna Lorraine posts accompanying that, the comment, and immediately after stopping recording, she was like, shit, I have a flat. Right? Like, it's probably something like that, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, ma'am, you dropped this in the store.
Yeah.
Your baby lost one of his booties.
Oh, here's what I was going to say.
Here you go.
I remember now. Okay, I remember. We were talking about how this harms women. Now, if men have this level of a desire to protect and provide for women to the point where they do bullshit like this, this entire show is basically based on that. Women equally have a desire or a sense of self based on whether or not men protect and provide for them. You get what I'm saying? Like there's there is a desire in women to be protected and provided for.
Yeah.
Of course.
And that's inborn because they're vulnerable. And I mean genuinely vulnerable. Like human women are the most vulnerable female mammals on the planet when it comes to reproduction. That doesn't mean that they're useless, but it does mean that they tend to require more of a stable location, stable situation in terms of protection and provision.
Yeah, they're glass cannons, but the cannons fire babies.
Yeah, but if in the contrast that I use is like if human women were like female tigers, they would essentially be able to they would be able to operate on the level of a Navy SEAL up until the point of give birth, and then put the baby in a hole and continue to go on and kill Bin Laden.
Yep.
Yeah, so we are helpless. And with that helplessness comes sort of a dependency, a psychological dependency on men. And we live in a society where we're told that men hate us, that men want to take their boot and shove it on our head and grind us into the ground.
Yeah.
What do you think that's going to do?
And that we don't need men, even though if strong, independent women who don't need no man live off of tax subsidies provided by men.
And also utilities provided by men who have absolutely no reason to really do it. Money now. Well, what if they don't have money? What's going to motivate them? But anyway, but they're told, like you have this feeling of dependency, and you're told that the people that you're dependent on hate you and secretly want to destroy you. What do you think that's going to do? Like, why do you think that women's misery is skyrocketing?
Yeah.
It's because they're being told fundamental lies about themselves. Mm-hmm. And the thing is that despite the fact that there's this dependency, I think that there is also corresponding psychological dependency that men have on women.
Yes.
In terms of an identity and a sense of social, like a security, a secure attachment to the social sphere. Yeah. So, we have these dependencies and these reliances that exist, and nobody wants to talk about them fairly so that we can start constructing a way out of this mess that we've made for ourselves. And it's like, yes, women feel it's not, when these women are talking about how men frighten them, I think what really frightens them is their own physical dependency. Mm-hmm. and we have this whole, on both sides, this whole rhetoric where women want to be materially independent and men want to be psychologically independent. And you can almost even see that in a weird shadow way in the way that feminists operate, like feminist men operate. For some reason, they want to get absolutely nothing from women. It's like, well, what do you think is going to happen? Okay, if you're a feminist man, you want nothing from women. What happens when you flick that switch? Like if you were able to, like, because everything that you want from women is entitlement. Being recognized that you're doing the right thing, that's entitlement, okay? Being attractive to a woman, that's entitlement. So flip that switch in your brain. You don't want anything from women. What kind of person is that going to make you? To be so psychologically independent from women. And yet it is, in some ways, male feminists are seeking that, or seem to be seeking that, by judging and chastising any kind of dependency on women's anything, approval, desire, whatever. So it's like you've got these two twin forces, women who are obsessed with denying their dependencies materially, men who are obsessed with denying their dependencies psychologically, because certainly male feminists, I've had some of the scariest interactions with men ever. When I point that out to male feminists. Like, I'm like, okay, could you stop presenting as like some kind of rage monster, right? Or serial killer right now, dude? Like, okay, somebody has a trigger point. With men's rights activists, they're like, yeah, sure, that's a thing. I mean, you're so chill about it. That's incredible. Like, men who are okay with men's rights activism and male vulnerabilities are generally chill when it comes to recognizing the psychological vulnerabilities that women have or men have for women. And in fact, they'll even openly admit it. Yeah, women actually are better advocates because X, Y, and Z, right? Yeah. So, or we need them to advocate because X, Y, and Z. So they're just chill. They're just like, okay, that's a thing. And I think that most female men's rights activists are pretty chill about the whole material thing too. Yeah. And yet there is no chill anywhere else. Especially among male feminists when you mention that. Yeah. Holy man. Yeah, that is some terrifying shit.
Jesus, they get
male feminists are in a really tough spot.
They're in a tough spot, but some of them are pretty not all of them. But some of them are pretty fucking scary. Like, I got a serial killer looking dude on my ass now on Twitter. I just have him muted. I'm like, I'm not even gonna.
All right, let's play some more.
Yeah.
Having access,
which doesn't exist, by the way, right? But anyways,
hold on. I let you talk. No, you didn't let me talk though. Hold on. No, you didn't let me talk though.
It's about feelings, right? You don't want to talk about how men feel. Let's talk about how women feel. Let's talk about feminists.
Again, it's not about feelings. Period. That's my point.
Wow, this argument is so gratifying.
Wait, can we have the prompt again?
Yeah, let's cut back to the prompt because it didn't have feelings.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay, I think we're gonna have to stop.
Men suffer
because
20 seconds.
All right.
How
this is just total bullshit.
How is suffering not a feeling?
Right.
Oh, the prompt doesn't have feelings in it. Innocent men suffer from feminism. That's the prompt.
Yeah, what they're saying is that the word feelings isn't used in the prompt, but that doesn't mean that it's not relevant.
Suffering is a feeling, whether it's emotional suffering, psychological suffering, physical suffering. It's all feelings.
Yep, it is. All right, let's keep going.
And so can I pose this question?
That is still about
on a day-by-day basis, do you think you're negatively affected by feminism?
100%.
Yeah. 120%. And so I really believe that. No. Can you explain to me how on a day-by-day basis
it makes
affect
feel
negatively?
because again, masculinity has this mythical eligibility of power.
Wait.
When someone
I'm just gonna pause it there for a second. Okay, so the guy says, "Do you feel like
affected day by day?"
Day by day, and the guy's like, "Yeah, 100%," and I think that's right.
Well, literally, like feminism is like, yeah, men are to blame, and they hate. We don't say they hate women. We just say that they intentionally get out to create, or unintentionally, because it's like it's Schrodinger's intention when it comes to this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That men sought to create a society for their own benefit at the expense of women. Okay, all right. Yes, that is going to have a negative effect on men's psychology, unless they're men who don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
that's a thing, and I'm pretty sure it also, honestly, you feminist dudes, I'm pretty sure it also has a negative effect on your psychology that you are suppressing. Okay? Which is why when a woman says, I think that this is harmful to men, to say these things, because women have a unique kind of psychological power over men. Yeah. They sort of set the tone. Even Susan B. Anthony admitted it. Okay?
Yep.
These guys, like we were talking about, turn into rage monsters.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
you
the guys that don't give a
acknowledge,
fuck basically fall into two categories. They're either psychos or they're MGTOWs. And the truth is that MGTOW are largely harmless to women because they avoid them, but feminists hate them anyway because they're not interacting. It's like
but
Yeah.
the point is that this is having an effect on you, dude. It's having an effect on you, and I guarantee it. You will see that effect, or other people will see that effect. If one, like me or Karen or another female men's rights activist, ever went up to you and said, "Actually, I think you are vulnerable to these messaging." Oh man, like I would prefer not to do that. That actually is making me a little bit scared, a little nervous. The thought of doing that in person to a female men's right, or not a female feminist, a male feminist, because they don't react well to that.
Yeah.
They don't react well to the recognition that they're vulnerable to that, and that I have noticed is a huge, and it's because they are internalizing it. And the way that they're dealing with it is by saying, no, it doesn't hurt me. It doesn't hurt me. But if you actually point out, no, actually it does.
Yeah.
Oh man, all of that shit comes out at once, right in your face.
Yeah.
If you're a woman, if you're another man, you probably just get this reaction.
All right, let's keep going.
Feminists, what have you, challenges that. It feels like oppression to them. So
Yeah.
it feels like something is being done.
challenging.
That's my perception. Feel free to disagree. That's what it looks like to me.
oppressed,
So he's saying that
He's saying
it's that other talking point.
When you've been privileged and you lose your privilege, then it feels like oppression.
Yeah.
And if you're men who are infinitely powerful, like really what he's saying is men have so much and are so powerful that why can't we begrudge the little women's,
Yeah.
I mean, and that's that identity of power. It's from that identity of power that he is suffering this psychological attack. So he's being attacked, and there's no way he doesn't know that he's being attacked when he's being blamed for something that he has absolutely no control over for society. Like that's an attack. Yeah. But he's saying, I received that attack from such a position of power and superiority. I receive women's attack from such a position of power.
It doesn't even hurt.
It doesn't even hurt me, which is why when a woman goes and says, actually, that's not what I'm seeing, they go ballistic.
Yeah.
Because it's a combination of feeling completely exposed and having to recognize your own pain. Which, I mean, it's sympathetic in a way, but, we need a bomb shield to deal with it.
Yeah.
We need to
I don't want to be in the same room when we poke that sore spot. So
with a male feminist, that's I think we've seen what happens.
All right. I'm going to continue.
That happens. Okay.
So I challenge that perception, but also too, to go back to your point about feminism, that may have been true with first wave feminism, but with third wave feminism, that is no longer.
And I would even argue because first wave feminism and
never was, okay? This is the thing. That's why I said nobody here is red pill. They're all like blue. Maybe one of them is a little bit like there's a little bit of violet in there, but if you want to get a good idea about like the true history of feminism, the best resource is Janice Fiamengo's YouTube channel. She's done a series of videos going all the way back, and I would say that this sentiment, the narrative is much older. Like they didn't have a name for it. It's just like, people that have the same sort of gender ideology. It probably goes way back. It probably goes like way back.
Yeah, maybe even as far back as what Peter Wright wrote a lot about was the medieval courtly love thing.
Yeah, exactly. So this whole this is ground we've already tread, but the whole idea that there was once a good feminism is just a lie, not true. Watch Janice Fiamengo's videos. it goes way back. So anyway.
Also, another point. Why are they shaming this man expressing feelings? Right here, we see an exact example. The masculine research found that men who are traditionally masculine, so they're part of the hegemonic masculinity, which incidentally, when I say that hegemonic masculinity just gives men a not a moving target, so it actually probably is healthier, that's I think part of why this is. Men who are so-called traditionally masculine actually feel more free expressing their emotions, their negative emotions among their friends, and feel freer crying. So, and this is we're seeing this in action. These guys are expressing their emotions, and not just, the happy, positive joy of service to women, but also the negative emotions that people need help with. Like, people don't need, nobody needs help expressing joy.
Yeah.
They don't need assistance. Usually they need assistance with the negative emotions. That's what makes us vulnerable. Yeah. So when feminists say, well, men need to be vulnerable, express their emotions, those are the negative ones. And these guys are expressing these negative emotions. They're saying, this is how it affects me. They're literally, ironically, the so-called hegemonic masculinities, they are expressing more of a feminine or a feminine form of
disclosure.
Disclosure, but also not coping, but what's the other word for coping that isn't? Yeah, maybe I'll just use coping, but not in a negative sense, in the positive sense, like being able to express yourself, own your emotions, own your boundaries, that kind of thing. They're doing that. Yeah. These guys are more feminine than, I know this is going to piss some people off, than the feminist men.
I don't think they're more feminine, because I think that actually expressing emotions is perfectly permissible within traditional masculinity.
Oh yeah, no, I agree, but it is like, when you look at the psychology behind it, like like gender expression psychology, being able to identify and express emotion is associated with femininity. So it's not that they are more feminine; it's that they've integrated this toolkit of dealing with stuff into them.
Yeah.
So they're more integrated.
Yeah.
Like, these are more integrated men.
That's masculine.
And these feminist men are just angry.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're not just they are
like the one thing that I noticed about the anti-feminist men is that like when they were just sitting alone on their little stools, they were expressing themselves, they were discussing it, they were like calm and all of that. They weren't ranty, they weren't yelling, and all of that. And then these guys come in, and if you looked at the way they walked, right? And I was looking at them going, geez, they all look a little soft, right? A little squishy, but except for maybe the guy on the far left with the man bun. But basically you have a situation where you have these guys who are just spoiling for a fight, these male feminists.
Yeah.
And they immediately jump in aggressively, right? Mm-hmm. No, you're wrong. I'm not listening. You're absolutely wrong. You should shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. You shouldn't talk about it. You shouldn't freaking say shit. And, and it's like, what the fuck you talking? You're bullshit. And extremely aggressive. So like, there was a productive conversation going on, even if it was very, blue, mauve, freaking.
It's blue pilled, and that. Right? But I'm not. That's not no shame, because I know that's not easy for a lot.
How about we call it cyan pilled?
Yeah, whatever. But it's like, okay, I will kill you, whoever you are. But
okay, go ahead.
But like you have. Call from California. Who the fuck is calling me from California?
Probably some kind of
no, on my cell phone and then on my landline.
All right, so these guys are really angry.
Yeah, they're really angry.
Aggressive.
They come off very aggressive. They start immediately talking over, not listening. and it's like, you're wrong, we're not listening, put their fingers in their ears.
Yeah.
Right? And that is toxic masculinity right there. The only allowable expression, allowable expressions, right, of motivation and emotion from men is competitiveness and anger.
Well,
yeah, that's what I'm getting at. The guys who are supposedly more hegemonically masculine are more integrated, and it's an expression. Just let me finish about the particular. The Masculiven found that men who are more traditionally masculine, well, first of all, men who basically believe that there's like an external standard, you live up to it. You maybe don't live up to it, or you live up to part of it, but it's there. It's not a moving target. They feel more free to express themselves. So the men who value their masculinity as well feel more free to express themselves. What a surprise, really. But it's the men on the left, the feminist men, who don't feel free to express themselves in front of their friends, who don't feel free to cry. And I think they're also the men who are more likely to be obsessed with a vision of themselves as being invulnerable.
Yep.
They don't have to concern themselves with the insult the little women's are laying when they blame them for everything, because they occupy a position of absolute invulnerability. They are the ones with the privilege. They are the ones with the power. They are the ones who determine, how women act. They are the ones. They're the ones with the power, and they are addicted to that identity. They're not integrated like these other men. They are addicted like a narcissist to this identity, and that's how they cope with the pain of this kind of abusive cult-like bullshit.
Yeah. It's also the only way they can prove their value.
So they're better than these other men.
Yeah.
And you see it in their behavior, like Karen is saying. Everything is competition. That's because they are unexamined. Like, this is the great irony. Is they would advance the notion that traditional masculinity is bad and men should express them. Look at what they're doing.
Yeah.
Look at what they're actually doing. They're living out the most base form of male competition, male competition, and erasure and aggression. I mean, they're racing to the fucking parasitium. How do you say that?
Paramecium.
Bottom of the barrel. Like, in terms of expressing masculinity, and they're calling that some kind of elevation. Like, they got some serious inner ear problems if they think falling into a deep abyss is somehow elevating themselves above everyone else.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right.
Let's move on, because I gotta get off of here in like 10-15 minutes.
All right, let's keep going then. See if we get to the end of this section.
Guys, bring it back to the prompt. And then also I love the ping-ponging, but just make sure we don't have 5 people talking on top of each other.
All right. There's another side to this too. It's the patriarchy. And so that is what you are talking about. It is the pressure to be strong, the pressure to protect.
But in what ways is our society a patriarchy today? I know you said values, so I would want to get clarification on what you define a patriarchy.
By the way, this blonde guy here that just spoke, he's gay. So none of this has anything to do with like sex for him. Just putting it out there.
Is he a feminist, or is he?
No, he's an anti-feminist.
No, he's an anti-feminist.
He's a gay anti-feminist. Yeah. So like later in the video, they talk about. There's a great question that's kind of fun too. That's well, it's not a question. It's like agree or disagree. Male feminists just want to get laid, and he walks up and he says, "Well, that doesn't have anything to do with me." So I thought that was kind of funny. But anyway, let's keep going. So yeah, it depends on how you define a patriarchy.
Maybe I should do some thank yous.
Oh yeah, do it.
All right. Also, this is like, so he's basically saying the patriarchy is pressure to provide and protect for women.
Yeah.
Okay, no. Choose one. Either the patriarchy is a system that benefits men over women, or the patriarchy is a system that puts pressure on men to benefit women. Can you please select one? Because a patriarchy that benefits men over women would put no pressure on men to benefit women, to benefit women over men. It wouldn't. And in fact, men would be free to express all the negative emotions because those represent needs the patriarchy would be eager, would have multi-billion-dollar industries to jump and save men from. It would be eager to do that. That's not what's happening. But did you see that he just...
Yeah, that's a common, like when we're talking about patriarchy on its own, isolated, it's about how it oppresses women and how men created it. But when we talk about patriarchy in the context of masculinity, then all of a sudden it's, oh yeah, patriarchy hurts men too. And
no, but not just patriarchy hurts men too. Patriarchy puts pressure on men to provide for women.
Yeah.
Okay, you just said that men in patriarchy occupy a position of privilege. People in a position of privilege do not have pressure to provide for others. Like, or at least they're not defined in terms of their identity to provide for others. Maybe they consider it a good thing, like noble oblige or whatever.
Noble oblige.
Thank you. I should do my thank yous.
Yeah, do the thank yous and then we'll keep going.
All right, so math
Noblesse.
Okay, actually, I think we might have gotten... Okay, Math Freak 123 HBR, hopefully not your legal name, gives us $25. So thank you, Math Freak.
Thank you very much. That's really nice.
Michael
Thank
O
you.
gives us $250. Thank you, Michael O.
Ooh, nice.
Men's right activists are
and
machines.
PLM gives us $25. Thank you, PLM.
Thank you.
And
Thank you very much. That's really nice. Thank you.
Because I don't want us to have to stop, basically. And I really appreciate everybody who does. And I believe in this message. And I believe it's really critical to keep it going. All right. So feedthebadger.com/support. Please help out. We only have 1 day left, so it's now or never. Please help out.
If you don't want to hear me sing, it's now or never. Just hold me tight.
All right. Let's
please,
keep going.
guys, please do take the moment to go.
Patriarchy as a group.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, take the moment to go to feedthebadger.com/support and put whatever you can in the hat. $5, $10. If everybody watching did $20, we'd be done. So it really, really matters.
Okay, so this guy just said, so we should define patriarchy as a group. So they're asking him to define it.
Oh, good luck, friends.
Yeah. Because I personally am still having a hard time defining it today because it is so
talking
massive.
about something.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. He says, the male feminist says, I'm having a hard time defining it. Yeah. There's a reason for that. Anyway, and then the gay guy says, because we can't define it.
So I'll try and define. Do you want me to try?
Yeah, let's do it
In a broader spectrum, I'd say patriarchal is a societal structure that we have set up that's kind of sociological values of how we set up a hierarchy in our society.
But so it's not defined by where men are in charge and hold power.
Yeah, but I'm not saying that it's a literal thing where there's some document that somebody wrote where it said men are in charge, women are second. It is a set of sociological values that you.
Okay, wait. Men are in charge, women are second. No, absolutely fucking not. Okay. The president's bodyguard is in charge. The president's bodyguard is not second.
Yeah.
Okay. But what he's saying is it's not a document that lays that out.
Yeah, right. Because then they'd have to be held to it.
He's saying it's sociological. So
it's a set of sociological values that.
So they don't have to be held to it.
Yeah.
All right.
The proper response to something like that, some kind of murky woo definition of something, right, is to say, well, that's convenient.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Because it can be anything and everything at all times. Including opposite things.
As long as they're evil, Karen.
Yeah, no. Helping women is evil because it implies that they're lesser than. But not helping women is evil because women need help.
Yep, that's right.
You see?
I do. I have been enlightened. I am now a feminist.
Yeah.
Karen, that's all it took.
Yep.
Okay, let's keep
patriarchal shitlord.
Of patriarchy, which is fine. I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
That's what my definition is. I didn't say there was a set definition.
But that's a red herring.
That's how I define it.
Are we saying we're not in a patriarchal society?
No, I don't believe we are today. So the whole idea that our country is an oppressive patriarchy, it just really gets under my skin because nobody's able to actually tell me what that is. Well, by definition, the patriarchy would be a society where men have power over women and women don't have a voice. And in today's society, that's just not true.
All right, I'm just pausing it there.
No. Patriarchy, as feminists define it, is not just men have power over women, but men have power over women and use it to their own benefit. Because there's a lot of situation where men have power, supposedly, and they do things like, oh, no, we're not going to send women to the front lines. We're going to send other men. Like, they deliberately choose to make other men occupy the most dangerous and self-destructive roles so that women can occupy the safest and most provided for roles.
Yes, but
so they have power.
Alison, but when they do that, they're telling women you can't go to wade through shit in a foxhole while being shelled, young lady. And that's just not fair to her.
Yeah, but I don't care what they're saying. What I'm saying is that
I know.
No, but listen, I actually got into this argument with a feminist, and I said, okay, when do you think that men started to care about women? And then we went back and forth, and he started in with this whole men are in charge, and that's bad. And I said, but men are in charge, and they're putting women in the safest and most provided for places. Okay,
yeah.
That means that men being in charge is a net benefit for women.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like. Do parents oppress
They could not do that.
Do parents oppress their children? Like, just, in general, does the role of being a parent is to feed your child, shelter them, put clothes on their back, keep them safe, right? Educate them, make them thrive, right? Help them to thrive, right? And all of those things, right? Right? That's your role as a parent, right? Well, when you're embodying that role, you're exercising power over your child, right? You are guiding your child. You are the guide, right? It's basically like, remember that scene from Jurassic Park, the original, right? Where Pete Postlethwaite, he's the hunting guide, right? And I think, was it the original one or was it the second one?
Yeah, it's the original one. If you're talking about the guy that says clever girl, yeah.
No. I think they were going to hunt a dinosaur and he
I know
was
who
just
you're
like,
talking about. That was the
and they're like,
one.
let's set up camp here. And he's like, no, we're not going to do that. We're directly on a game trail, right?
Mm-hmm.
And predators hunt on game trails. We do not want to, no, I'm in charge. You hired me. I am technically serving you. I'm your employee, but I am in charge of these decisions. And you can shut your whore mouth and hike some more until we camp, right? And so it's like, no, the people who are in charge are the people who have the responsibility over the set of circumstances, right?
Right.
Which
you
is
can't
why
have responsibility without authority.
Which is why even in the military you have some flexibility of authority where the LT will say, okay, well, let's give it to our demo expert, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our demo guy to decide, where to put the charges and how to get them there and, how much explosive to use and all of that stuff, because he's deferring to the expertise of his underling, right? And so you have this situation where you have these flexible hierarchies based on merit, based on expertise, and all of this stuff, right? And also based on the amount of responsibility each person takes. And you have this situation where it's like, well, yes, as a parent, I am responsible for my child's health. That means even though they want cake for dinner, they're not getting cake for dinner.
Yeah.
Right? And they can cry and they can be upset, but I have the power to tell them that they're not having cake for dinner. And, if women want to be provisioned and protected, then there has to be some obligation to do as they're told, to duck when they're told to duck, to hide when they're told to hide, right? And to, cooperate to make that job able to be done by the person who's actually responsible to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's continue. I know you're running out of time here, so.
Yeah.
Obviously, some people have power over others, but in our society, that has more to do with economic status than actual sex.
So going back to the prompt, right? The prompt is innocent men feel attacked by feminism. Suffer from feminism, right? So if you make a mistake, you should be held accountable to that mistake.
All right, this guy is basically talking about accountability, and that's not, I don't know. Anyway, I'm just pausing here mostly for the banana. I'm gonna keep going.
Now with the forms of internet coming out and communication going everywhere, y'all are talking about feeling attacked for being able to say certain things or not.
Not attacked. I just think that psychologically, some innocent men do suffer from the narratives that are pushed.
They also suffer if you're speaking about.
They are attacked.
Yeah, of course they are. Women
Literally,
basically
this
run
is
the
an
internet.
attack on men's identity. I mean, how can it be more clear? Masculinity is toxic. I can't identify any positive aspects of masculinity that I associate with masculinity in the same way I associate negative things. But men have constructed a society to privilege themselves at the expense of women. Men who identify as men as responsible for rape culture. There's nothing in that isn't an attack.
Yep.
And incidentally, personally, I think we could have all managed these changes wrought by the Industrial Revolution with a lot more chill and aplomb than we did.
Yeah.
Because this is insanity. Like, yes, women needed something to do after they no longer had anything to do in the home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just completely fucking lose your job, and then you're just like, what do I do with my life? What do I become useful? I know. I went to an incredible Harridan.
Yeah.
And demanded of men. It's like, no, we could have done that a lot better. I mean, women did need something to do. And they have always worked in the workplace, so it wasn't that difficult a stretch.
Yeah.
But this is, and you could even make the argument that if women are allowed to care about men, because in many cases, for example, we counsel that if you're an abused husband, you're better off with a female cop, and probably better off with a female lawyer, and probably better off with a female judge, as long as they're not feminist. Maybe even if they are feminist, if they're coffee feminists. Because the conservative male judge, you are fucked.
Yep.
And women are, if they allege sexual crimes, they select against a female jury, because a lot of women ain't having none of that bullshit from other women. So in some cases, having women occupy these positions in which they can actually hold other women to account and care about men would be a good thing, if it wasn't for feminism. Like, feminism is the biggest one single goddamn argument why women should have no power.
Yeah, really.
It's just like, you just have to be like, oh, should women be president? No, feminism.
Yeah.
Because feminism.
Yeah.
Because when women are given power, apparently they construct a philosophy about how they have to be beholden to no one because of it.
Yeah.
But if there was a situation where women had just been like, these changes, we're not going to blame men for them, but we need to accommodate them somehow, and actually developed a reasonable philosophy of the relationship between the sexes. Okay? Doesn't have to give men a total 100% out for everything that they do, because men are human too, but just a reasonable philosophy that includes a good faith,
renegotiation,
a good faith, assuming that men operate on good faith, assuming that men want to protect and provide for women and deserve women who in turn protect men where they are vulnerable. That would have been great. What we got was shit.
Okay. And on that
note,
note,
I want to play some more, because I think Alison's gonna like this next part that's coming up.
Okay.
I think feminism has changed a lot of laws that now all are women beneficiaries. So if you look at divorce courts, if you look at family courts, if you look at abortion, if you look at a whole host of laws, all of them are women primary. Men are heavily affected by those.
So I disagree actually on that. I don't.
All right, I'm just pausing it for a second, just to for the banana. But okay, we'll keep going.
I actually agree on the whole loss stuff, but just going back to like the prompt and the suffering thing, I do think that you have to be aware that a man.
I like how this guy says, I don't agree with the, and he's supposedly an anti-feminist. He's like, yeah, I don't really agree with the divorce courts and the arguments for child custody, etc. And I was like talking to Lindsay, and she said the same thing. We were like, but that's not something that you are allowed to have an opinion on. Those are facts. That's just facts. Like, that's not something that we should have a discuss. What do you think about? What's your opinion on whether or not this phenomenon exists? It does.
Yeah, I disagree with reality.
Yeah, I disagree with reality.
It's an anti-feminist statement to simply, like we were talking about earlier. It's anti-feminist to simply assert what's actually happening.
Yeah.
Feminists are attacking men's identity. Feminists have constructed a situation where, admittedly, the conservatives have also played a part, because conservative states are worse for male custody of their children than non-conservative, and the best are actually swing states. So, maybe you can give feminists an assist on the custody issue, an assist on the alimony issue, but they were definitely behind the domestic violence, like the overt discrimination against male victims of domestic violence. So yeah, this is what feminism is doing. This is what they say they're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is in their manifestos. This is in the dossiers they send out to domestic to cops. We're going to investigate you if you're ever arrest more than 15% female domestic violence perpetrators. This is what they're doing, and we're at the point where just pointing it out is anti-feminist instead of just reality. That's not anti-feminist. That's feminist neutral. That is feminist. Oh, this is what you're doing, feminists.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like anything outside okay, let me get this out. Any point of view, this framework makes any point of view outside feminist to be anti-feminist.
Yep. Or even still, like I said, like these guys, all of them are still to some degree crediting feminism, whether it's the feminism of yesterday, or the feminism of today. It's no different. So that's what I mean when I say, they're all just blue pill dudes, and I feel for them, but they need to learn this. Okay. So anyway, let's continue.
Man can't just go and say whatever they want.
Right.
Where a female can't.
Should they be?
That is not true. A female can say a lot more than a man can, especially online, on social media, on the internet. There's a lot of there's been a rape threat made, and a woman said no one will judge an eye. Cancel culture doesn't come in. But if a man said that same thing, they would get canceled immediately. I believe men today are really weak. Mostly they're lazy, and I feel like there's no courage. I feel like men today are okay with being losers, and I mean.
All right, I'm just pausing it there again for the banana.
Okay, and you know what? I'm bananaing out of here because I gotta go.
All right, Karen.
I have something I gotta do.
How much more did you want to do, Brian?
There's like, where am I at? There's
okay,
like
before you go, Karen, let's.
There's like 1 minute.
Well, 1 minute. 1 minute is like 5 hours for us. Do you have any time to do something tomorrow, Karen?
Okay, I gotta take my mom shopping. I gotta do a thing on TV. That was what that California call was. And
same time, same bat station tomorrow.
No. Okay. Yeah, that could work.
Okay, I will confirm, and we are going to going to adjourn this.
Yeah, we'll have to confirm because I don't know whether she said 1:15, but I don't know whether she meant my time, California time, or Eastern time. So
California time would be earlier.
Yeah, but
Eastern time would be later.
Eastern time is normally how they schedule me. So.
No. Okay. California time would be later, wouldn't it? Yes.
No, earlier.
Eastern time.
California time is earlier.
Okay, but if it was 1:15 California time, it would be 11:15.
No, it would be 2:15 my time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. Okay. All right. Yes. So we'll figure that out.
Fucking time zones. Thank God I got Alexa now.
All right, but I think what we need to do.
On that note, I'm going to tell the audience that if you have Alexa, what you really need to do is ask her to fart for you. just say it.
That certainly went in a different direction than I was
Say
expecting.
the name and say the name and then say fart for me, and then go down a rabbit hole of fun.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
So,
okay.
All right. I'm going to go. I'll talk to you guys later.
Bye, Karen. Thanks for coming.
Maybe tomorrow. No worries.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you want to keep going, or do you just want to end it here? Or what?
I think this is a good spot to stand. Like, just be like, this is a good spot for today.
Okay.
I mean, because you say it's 1 more minute. Like, literally, Brian, that's going to be how long for us?
Well, I mean, we went today for about 7 minutes of this clip.
Yeah.
So,
I'm just saying 1 minute.
No, it's okay. I get it. We can do the 1 minute next time, and then maybe I'll move to the other section, which is.
I like how he still just reverses onto men, though, even though he's the supposed anti-feminist.
Yeah.
Like neither group is the group that can actually be like, maybe women need to take some responsibility here. The one group of people that we like for the last 60 years have been like, no, it's actually completely wrong to put any responsibility onto.
Yeah, this guy has and I've heard this delusion before that, if men just essentially like took leadership or took charge, that women would fall in line, and I just don't think that's realistic at all. Like that, and it's still doing that same old shit of asking men to be the solution, and not saying, well, ladies, how about you stop being a piece of shit for a little while and help us out over here, like.
Yeah, like kick these narratives, these bad faith narratives out. But do you have like a do you have some? We have some chats to read, right?
Yeah, I have one super chat. Let me stop sharing Brave since we're quitting. I have one super chat and no Rumble rants, and I don't know if there are super chows or not.
Okay, well, I do have a thank you as well. Very appreciated. Okay, so Vesa gave us $250. Thank you, Vesa.
Thank you, Vesa. Thank you. Let me just.
Thank you very much. That's really nice. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. And now, okay, thank you. I'll just give you guys a heads up of where we're at. We are 1,325 from the goal. So we started the day at about 1,900, and now we're at 1,325. Very much appreciated. Hopefully we'll get some more in over the night, because we are at the very, very, very last day, guys. So if we want to make sure that we're able to make our goal, got to help us out now, at this moment, seize it. And once again, that would be at feedthebadger.com/support. And if you want to just send us a message, you can do so at feedthebadger.com/justthetip. It's been sort of a quiet Friday. I guess everybody's doing their taxes.
Yeah, well, I haven't done it yet, but
yeah,
I think I still have some time.
My taxes are done because I have an accountant. Because
well, that's nice.
Yeah,
I have to go to a website, but
probably
okay.
I could do that. I could probably do that because my taxes are fairly simple, but
sure, yeah.
I might as well just let the accountant that does everything else do it, because it's not that expensive. But anyway, once again, please go to feedthebadger.com/support and assist us so that we are able to fund our wonderful show for the month and continue to talk about these things in the way that we talk about them, by connecting them to the greater mess that we're seeing. Like, who knew, ignoring and feeding bullshit to the people who are basically responsible for running society might cause problems.
Yeah.
Yep. Like whipping that horse to death that's pulling the wagon might cause a bit of problems. But as everybody else always points out, we can't concern ourselves with the health of the horse. The wagon isn't moving. That's the big issue. Oh, really? Okay. Wagon isn't moving. There's no relation to the fact that the horse is in the ground bleeding from the mouth.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So
back to you. Yeah, that's the last things I can double check to see if there's anything more, but I think we'll see.
All right.
Nope.
No.
So far,
okay.
no.
So
Okay,
we're gonna
good.
wrap it up here. Do you want me to leave this one up? I mean, I just put it in as a Rantzerker, so.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So if you guys like this video, please smash like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And we really want you guys to give us likes. I see 41 likes and 64 viewers at this time. So maybe smash that like button and help us out. Because I think it helps us reach more people in its own way. So if you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Hit the bell for notifications so you know when our streams go live. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think about this video that we were responding to. Have you seen it? There's a link to the original video in the description. It's about an hour long. But I thought that section was the best part. So, maybe you'll disagree. I don't know. So leave us a comment. Let us know what you guys think. And please, please, please share this video because sharing is caring. Thank you guys so much for coming on today's episode of the Rantzerker, and we will talk to you all in the next video. Hopefully tomorrow. See you later.
Mm-hmm.
Men's rights activists are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.